Hi, this is Alex from devstories.eu. GitLab CI/CD, episode 9 of 14. You have a single YAML file with 500 jobs. Changing one line feels like defusing a bomb, and execution takes an hour because everything runs in one massive block. Downstream pipelines solve this by splitting that monolith into modular, independent workflows. A downstream pipeline is simply any GitLab CI/CD pipeline triggered by another pipeline. The pipeline doing the triggering is called the upstream pipeline. Instead of running every job in a single sequence, the upstream pipeline acts as a coordinator, delegating work to smaller, focused pipelines. GitLab divides downstream pipelines into two specific types based on where they execute. The first type is a parent-child pipeline. This happens entirely within the same project. If you have a monorepo, a parent-child setup is exactly what you need. The parent pipeline detects what changed and triggers only the relevant child configuration. The second type is a multi-project pipeline. This occurs when a pipeline in one repository triggers a pipeline in a completely different GitLab project. You use this for architectures spread across multiple repositories, like triggering an integration testing project only after a standalone API project pipeline succeeds. You configure both types using a specific job keyword called trigger. A trigger job is fundamentally different from a standard job. It never contains a script section. It does not execute commands on a runner. Its only purpose is to start the downstream pipeline. For a multi-project pipeline, you pass the trigger keyword the path to the target project. For a parent-child pipeline, you use the trigger keyword combined with the include keyword, pointing to a different YAML file located in the same repository. Think of a routing parent pipeline managing 3 separate microservices stored in a monorepo. The parent pipeline evaluates the commit and triggers 3 parallel child pipelines. One handles the user service, one handles the payment service, and one handles the inventory service. Each child pipeline has its own stages, jobs, and rules. They execute independently. By default, a trigger job fires and forgets. The upstream job starts the downstream pipeline and immediately succeeds. If you need the upstream pipeline to wait and mirror the status of the downstream pipeline, you add the strategy depend parameter to the trigger job. This forces the parent pipeline to wait, meaning a failure in the child pipeline will bubble up and mark the parent job as failed. Here is the key insight. Engineers often configure parent-child pipelines and immediately assume they are broken because the child pipelines do not appear on the main pipeline's index page. This is an intentional design choice. The main index only shows the parent pipelines to prevent clutter. To view the child pipelines, you must click into the parent pipeline detail view. They are nested under the specific job that triggered them. Multi-project pipelines, on the other hand, do appear in the pipeline index of their respective target projects because they are top-level pipelines in those repositories. Moving to downstream pipelines forces you to treat your CI/CD configuration like actual software architecture, replacing one brittle script with distinct components that have isolated failure domains. That is your lot for this one. Catch you next time.